Here's a tip on how to develop a wrestling style. Well, for one thing, make sure you're very experienced. You know, you need to have about, I would probably say 4 or 5 years of experience. You know, and if you've only wrestled 2 years or maybe even 3 years and you're in youth wrestling and you don't wrestle in the off season, now you have 8 to 12 months of wrestling. You know, you have, what, 2 practices a week? You probably have, you know, 60 to 80 practices total. That might not be enough experience though. You know, don't confuse years for seasons. Now, if you're in high school and you're older, sure, maybe 3 seasons of experience, you can start to specialize a little bit and develop a style. But mostly for the advanced kids and athletes, here's what I would do. Number one, I would get a piece of paper and really do some self-evaluation. Take inventory. Where am I good? Where am I bad? You know, your positions, you could say. Now, if you say, well, I'm bad on bottom. Well, you can't be bad on bottom. It's like being a basketball player and being bad from the free throw line. You have to get good there, right? It's just part of it. But if you say, I can't score from the outside because I'm not very quick, well, yeah, that's a position that your outside attacks is a position that you're not good from. Write it on the column, right? So look at the positions you're good from and not good from and decide whether you can live with that or not, if it's doable. Because if you're not good from the outside, you don't have to be. Most people aren't, right? But if you're not good on bottom, then that's a position that you need to fix. So once you look at your positions that you're good and not so good in, maybe diagnose why. And most important probably is look at your physical strengths and weaknesses. A lot of your wrestling style is going to be dependent upon your physical strengths and weaknesses. So everything's good and bad, right? So you can be short and powerful, but you're not going to have reach or leverage. You can't have both, right? And so that's okay. Don't look at where your weaknesses and automatically kind of, you know, feel like you need to fix them. You just avoid wrestling in those positions and implementing those tactics that require you to be tall and have a lot of leverage, or short, powerful wrestling positions or techniques that you can go to or avoid, right? So look at your physical strengths and weaknesses, because that's going to have a whole lot to do with it. From your physical strengths and weaknesses, then you counteract that with your list of the positions that you're good and bad in, and start to draw some some correlation there. A lot of it's common sense for those of us who've been at wrestling for a very long time. But if you haven't, you can kind of say, hey, you know, there's a reason why I do this or that, or don't do this or don't do that, you know? Some people can catch cradles off of a down block, off of a front headlock. If you don't have fast hands or the length, that might not be something you can do. But maybe you have a good a block and fly, or you maybe have a good circle snap or a knee tap, you know, from a front headlock. So you look at the positions that you score from a lot, and you might also understand that you're wasting your time with certain positions. You should say, I can't change the fact that I'm short and powerful. Therefore, drilling, you know, how to attack a cradle off of a front headlock from your modified go behind position is a waste of time. Sure, I can get pretty good there, but I can never become dominant there. So I scratch that off the list, right? And now think about positions, not just techniques that you can scratch off the list. You can't scratch front headlock off the list. It's part of wrestling. Just like the free throw line is part of basketball. So you don't scratch positions off the list. You scratch techniques from those positions off of the list. And then you maybe find better. That's the reason you need to be experienced. If you only have 2 ways to score from a front headlock, developing a wrestling style is going to be very difficult because you don't know enough, right? There's probably 18 ways to score. Most of it's garbage. We have 8 in our 14-day dream season camp. 8 ways to score in our wrestling academy too, in our elite program. But I also tell those guys and girls, you know, we're going to drill all of these because it's the foundation, You should touch base through these on occasion, drill these positions. However, we all understand that, you know, you're probably, if you're not a knee tap guy or girl, or you're not going to use the circle snap to score, drill it, you know, once a month to hit 10 reps, just so it's kind of freshen in your mind, because you never know what's going to happen in the heat of battle. But for the most part, your wrestling is going to get smaller, because you're like, these are the 2 ways of scoring that I like to use, and that I think I can become the best in America at. So your wrestling does get smaller. Now, as far as positions, I said earlier, you can't erase positions like the front headlock position, because it's part of wrestling. But you can erase some positions. So, for example, if you watch, you know, someone who is look like maybe Jordan Burroughs, right? Extremely fast, scores from the outside a lot. He doesn't wrestle in an over-under, chest-to-chest position. He doesn't collar tie and underhook, right? Now, Isaiah Martinez, who actually beat Jordan Burroughs 1 out of 3 matches, almost 2 out of 3, a couple months ago, he does wrestle in a collar tie underhook. He's one of the best in the world there. But he's unbelievably powerful. So to Jordan Burroughs say, dang it, I need to get good there too. No, he should say, that's a position that is built for him. I'm not going to, you know, go chasing the idea fairy and say, oh man, I got an idea. I might just go try this for a while. No, it won't work for you. You are way better off scoring from space, or, you know, very minimal contact. John Smith used to call it the touch. Wrestle from a touch, that's it. A touch or back, not hard tie-ups, not in tight. So that's why I said every, you know, being tall and skinny and having leverage and reach can be an advantage, but it can also be a disadvantage. Being short and powerful can be an advantage. It can also be a disadvantage. But if you avoid the positions where it's not to your advantage, now your wrestling positions are getting smaller. You live in certain positions. So if you're a collar tie underhook guy, you want to live there. I tell my guys, you want to dig 700 underhooks a practice. Live there. And if someone stops it, figure out why and fix it and live there again. Don't say, oh, this is not working, I'm going to give up on this and do something else. No, once you have your strengths and weaknesses, your physical strengths and weaknesses. Now, as far as that, some of them you need to fix. If you're frail and weak, that's a physical weakness. You can't be frail and weak, but you don't necessarily have to be one of the top 5% athletes in America as far as strength, right? But you have to get better there. If you're just terribly stiff and not flexible, that's a physical weakness that you can fix. So write down the physical strengths and weaknesses that you can fix, and fix them if you have to, right? But you're never going to be an Olympic sprinter if you're not built for it, right? You're never going to be an Olympic gymnast if you're 6'3" and you're a 14-year-old girl. Probably not going to happen. See, but the thing with wrestling is we're all on the mat at the same time. So the sport is for anybody. Any physical body can wrestle. You just have to figure out where you're good and bad. Now, lastly, look at maybe some of your, look at your personality. Your personality does have something to do with your style, right? Your style and approach. I remember this guy, he was an NCAA champion twice. And Dan Gable used to get so mad because he said, this guy, with his physical prowess, he was 3rd in the world 1 year too. He should not be having, you know, matches that are 6-2, 5-1. He didn't have a lot of 1-point matches. He was a 3-time NCAA champ. Joe Williams. But I remember hearing stories or interviews, Dan Gable was so frustrated. He's like, if I could just get this guy to just go on the attack, like belligerently, I guess, you know, really just throw it out there. He said he's leaving so many points on the table. But the guy was third in the entire world and a 3-time Division I national champ. He did okay. But I'm certain, I don't know the guy, but I'm certain his personality was just like, dude, I'm a patient wrestler. I'm a patient person. I'm not a high drama guy. I'm not a highly aggressive guy as far as, you know, I'm not a hammer type of a wrestler. It just doesn't feel right to me. I'd rather wrestle off of my feel and my athleticism, right? So your personality does have something to do with it, your style of wrestling, because part of your style isn't just the positions and techniques from those positions that you choose to hone in on. It's also maybe your approach to wrestling, right? And that can be good and bad too. If you're more of a reserved, patient wrestler, you might need to kick yourself in the butt every once in a while. The very aggressive kids, they blow a lot of matches because they charge and they reach and they over wrestle and they get into trouble, and instead of bailing out and or stalemating, they try to wrestle through it and they give up back points. They blow it sometimes. So don't forget that. So in recap, developing your own wrestling style, write down your physical strengths and weaknesses, the ones that need fixed, that you can fix them. The ones you're born with, write those down. Then look at the positions you like to wrestle in. Maybe start looking at your list of strengths and weaknesses and your personality and say, could I wrestle from there more? And if the answer is yes, and it fits your list, then let's develop those positions. If not, say I can't. It's not fit. It doesn't work for me. I'm not a collar tie underhook guy. It's part of it. Because now you can start you're wrestling again. And the third time I said this, your wrestling is going to get smaller. Now once you start honing in, I think now your wrestling starts to soar a little bit because you're starting to specialize. We had good success with this at our 28-day, 20,000 rep camp. Our athletes have notebooks and we go through everything with them, and you know, the goal is to really, at the end of camp, after 28 days of camp, and they're basically technique wizards, now to take that drill plan home and start chopping it down. So the drill plan is the foundation. They need to drill that on occasion, once a month, hit everything 20 times. But they need to highlight the positions and the techniques from those positions that they're going to hone in on. And it kind of creates more of a total transformation of your wrestling. So there's my tip for you on developing a wrestling style. Good luck. I wish you great success. You can see more here on our YouTube channel. We have 700 videos there. Instagram, you can binge through that. Tons of advice. A couple thousand clips and pieces of advice there. Not just a bunch of memes. Or it might be a couple, but I'm not a meme person necessarily. A lot of it's advice. So Facebook, if you're a Facebook user, they're all at Purler Wrestling. At Purler Wrestling on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, at Purler Wrestling. Check out the Purler Wrestling YouTube channel. You can see us at purlerwrestling.com. We have academy, online wrestling academy, traveling, private team camps, summer camps in our gym. You can see a tour of our facility. We have 17,000 square foot privately owned wrestling only training center outside of St. Louis. So if you had interest, you can come check us out there too. But share this video with friends, and good luck to you guys.